Hello, everyone. Well, we have the most exciting topic for today is Menopause Survival Guide. Well, a lot of us are going through perimenopause. We don't know we are going through perimenopause, right? And then we don't know what to do. Well, that's why we have Leah Israel. She is with me. She is a certified menopause coach joining me live, and she's going to walk us through the survival toolkit. Thank you so much for joining me, Leah.
Thank you for having me. This is actually my first live stream, so I'm a little bit nervous, but using some of those stress management strategies I'll talk about later. So I wanted to let everybody know also that 10 years ago today, I had a hysterectomy. So it is my 10-year anniversary of being in menopause, or now post-menopause. So I wanted to schedule this for that date because it is a monumental date for me. It's being thrust into it, unlike most of you who will go through perimenopause. So now I'm going to talk about what is menopause. And menopause is when your period has been over for 12 months and 1 day. Then you can say that that day you're in menopause, and it lasts seriously 1 day, because then you immediately go into the next phase, which is postmenopause. What most people think, though, that menopause is now referred to as perimenopause. In the past, I think they just lumped it all under the title menopause, but perimenopause is the most symptomatic phase of menopause because your hormones are fluctuating up and down. And that begins anywhere from 8 to 10 years before your actual menopause date. And the average is 51 for menopause here in the United States. So you would be going through perimenopause, usually on average, the span is 40 to 44 years old. But obviously, we talked earlier, you can go way before that. A lot of people are going into perimenopause in their 30s, or there are women who don't hit menopause till near 60. So there is a huge range, or you could be put into surgical menopause like I, medically induced menopause like others. There's lots of variety. One thing that is consistent through it all is that you are not told much of what to expect. One would think, because I had a hysterectomy, that the doctor would have told me what to expect after the surgery. The only topic was, you need to be placed on HRT. I recommend this, and there you go. Like, out the door, no discussion, nothing to forewarn me about what the symptoms could be. But I think most women and men alike only think of hot flashes and night sweats, and of course, irregular periods. But there are over 100 symptoms that are tied to menopause now. Yes, I know, it's insane. But that's because estrogen has 300 functions in the body. So it goes from tiredness and fatigue to brain fog and memory loss to depression and anxiety to joint pain, which actually was a new one for me. I started having joint pain again recently, and I couldn't believe that that actually could be a symptom of menopause. Insomnia is another big one, loss of libido, vaginal atrophy, and the list, as I said, goes on and on into the hundreds. There are resources you can use to track your symptoms, which are it's a very important step to take. There are lots of downloads. You just would type in menopause symptom monthly tracker, something around that, printable, if you like it printed out. I know there's also apps that now focus on menopause, and you could use that as well. I find it very important to mark down all of these particular symptoms that are new to you. You know, you might react quicker to things because it's like you're going through PMS in a way. You have these PMS symptoms, you'll notice that around your period. You might be cramping more, you might have a heavier flow, your duration could be longer. You could be spotting between your periods. So I myself would recommend even printing out 2 blank calendars, one just for your period information, a lot of women I've talked to still have regular periods. So I still get it every 28 days, 25 days. But then when I talk about moodiness and PMS type symptoms, they're like, oh my gosh, yes, I haven't reacted like I do to things since I was a teenager. You know, it's almost like going through your second period, which is always so much fun. Once you have gathered all that information, I recommend bringing it to a general practitioner. And it has been suggested to track from 1 to 3 months. I would assume the period, it would be more important to track for the 3 months just to see what exactly is going on. The symptoms, I think if you only have a month to do it, it's great. You'll have a whole list. And let me tell you, a lot of this information is online. They only list, I think they say the 34 or 42, but anything you could think could be related to menopause. But as I said, you would bring it to the general practitioner. You first do want to rule out that nothing else serious is going on. Not everything is going to be menopausal. And if you are going through perimenopause, they will most likely suggest going on HRT. And it's it's recommended a lot because especially the younger you are going into perimenopause, there's a greater risk of osteoporosis and cardiac disease and cognitive decline. Just had a little brain fog there. So they now do it earlier in perimenopause than they used to. And they suggest doing it as early as possible so you do not have the effects of the bone loss. And as I said, the other factors. Some women I know do not want to go the HRT route, and others are unable to or advised against, people who have a history of breast cancer, uterus cancer, blood clots, liver disease, high blood pressure. So there are things you can do that are healthy that can make the menopause symptoms ease up a bit. And the 4 sections I'm going to talk about are nutrition, exercise, stress management, and sleep. And I'll start with sleep because I feel like, for me anyways, if I do not get enough sleep, I am not going to implement any of those 3 other factors because I will be exhausted. I'll have no focus. I'll be moody and cranky and irritable. And another factor, sleep does, or the lack thereof of sleep, does affect your cognition. You don't, it doesn't create like short-term memories because you're not getting into all the cycles of sleep. And it creates more stress hormones the less sleep you have. So it goes into this vicious cycle of you're more stressed because you're not sleeping, and the lack of sleep is causing you to be more stressed. There are recommendations on how to get more sleep. And the first one would be to try and go to bed and wake up the same time every day, set a schedule. And that would include the weekends. But for me, I wake up between 4 and 5 every weekday. So I do not want to wake up between 4 and 5. But if I wake up at around 8, I can feel a difference. I still feel good. If I go into the 9 or 10 o'clock hour, I have a migraine and all these menopause symptoms do come out. So you do want to keep a similar sleep schedule as much as you can, 7 days a week. Things I even personally do is we have a sound machine. Amazing. I don't know. I lived in New York for years and in the city and never had a sound machine, would wake up to everything. And once I had a baby, we got a sound machine, and it is one of the best purchases one could get. We bring on vacations with us so we don't have to hear other people. Amazing. Also, keeping the room cool is recommended around 68 degrees. Keeping it dark, so blackout curtains are fabulous as well. And they say stay away from electronics an hour before bed. I'm guilty of keeping my phone right next to me. I kind of fall asleep to it, so don't follow my recommendation there. But yes, try and keep off the electronics if you can, until like an hour before bed. Avoid caffeine 6 to 8 hours before bed. That I truly believe. I love coffee, but I'll have my last cup at like 1:30 at the latest. Avoid alcohol, which most people think induces sleep, but it is a sleep disruptor. So avoid it 3 to 4 hours before sleep, as well as exercise. Once your sleep is taken care of, we can move into stress management, which I would also lump in with some self-care in here. Stress management is super, super important because cortisol is produced in your body when you're stressed. It's called the stress hormone. It's your fight or flight hormone. And what it does to your body while you're having all these fluctuations in estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone, mainly declining in all, cortisol will steal more progesterone. So progesterone is your calming hormone. So as if you're not stressed enough, now you have lost the one hormone that keeps you more relaxed because the stress hormone went in there and stole it. Basically, the less stressed you are, the healthier you can be. And I believe that is, I know it's really hard in our world now. We have 1,000 jobs on top of our job. But self-care, I think, is now touted as the number one thing you can do for yourself in menopause. And self-care could mean a plethora of things. And these will also reduce stress. So going outdoors is supposed to be fantastic for you. So if you like to take a nice nature walk or hike, being social, talking to your friends and family. A lot of women at this point retreat. You know, they're not confident. They don't want anybody to see them. They feel gross. I know that. I feel gross, and I had an adverse reaction to hormones once. So that's why I'm giving you these other things, and it made me even like less confident. But you really do need people at this point. People lift up your spirits. They improve your mood. You know, a lot of them can be your cheerleader. They can be your stress reducer by listening to you. So stay social. Do things that make you happy. I mean, dancing around the kitchen. I like being silly in front of my son, especially now that it embarrasses him. I think it's even more funny. And I love listening to music. To me, that is a big relaxation. I did that earlier today in preparation for this first talk of mine. And other things are mindfulness, breath exercises. Yoga is fantastic for stress reduction, meditation. I think like the list is infinite. Journaling is really great. Doing brain dumps at the end of the night if you can't sleep because of all the stress going on, because of everything going on in your mind for tomorrow, write it down, get it out there, and move on. So now that I talked a little bit about yoga, I think I'll go into the exercise portion. Exercise also is known to reduce stress and reduce symptoms of menopause, such as the joint pain that I brought up earlier. When you get older, a different course of exercise is recommended. When you're younger, it's a lot of cardio. They talk about cardio all the time. Now the focus is more on strength training, resistance training, body weight exercises. So you do not have to join a fancy gym or anything. I have those dumbbells that you can get at Amazon or any store that you can adjust the weight, or resistance bands are great also. And YouTube has 1,000 yoga videos, anywhere from beginning to advanced. And yoga will also help with bone density, which is very important. That's why you're strength training, because you don't want to lose more of your bone density. You want osteoporosis to stay far away. Also, it helps with your balance, which as we age, we tend to lose. And it strengthens your pelvic floor. And pelvic floor is very important at this stage in life. So they also recommend doing Kegels at least once a day. The final key is nutrition. And it's going to sound like common sense, but eating a well-balanced whole food diet is the way to go. Blood sugar goes up and down, and that affects your hormones, and it'll affect the stress and all the other items. So I know there was an earlier talk from last week that you met with someone talking about the macros, and that is it's a good video. So if you have time to watch it, do watch it. I call it PPF, which is also referred to as proteins, carbs, and fats. So every meal has a lean protein, complex carb, and a healthy fat, and your blood sugar remains stable, which is very important. Another factor is you want to keep your gut microbiome healthy. You want to feed the healthy bacteria and not feed the harmful. So again, it would be whole foods. You would avoid processed foods. You would eat more fiber foods. You would eat phytoestrogens, which would help with your hormones because it's a plant-based estrogen. When it goes into your body, it will act like estrogen. So it's like lentils and chickpeas and carrots and broccoli and soy products as well. Reduce sugar. They say avoid caffeine. I think that's a little bit nutty for me. I'm like, especially if you're not getting consistently good sleep, I need my caffeine. So I'll just use caffeine because besides disrupting sleep, it does cause more anxiety, fortunately. They say avoid alcohol as well because it could lead to dehydration and it can affect your liver, which affects hormones. And the last part of the nutrition I want to stress is hydrate. Hydrate. Try to at least drink 64 ounces a day. I carry this around everywhere I go, every single place. I probably look loony places I carry it, but I just love drinking water all day long. And it's very good for you, you know, without it, your skin does get more dry. Your brain can actually shrink from dehydration. It causes muscle cramps, fatigue, list goes on, just almost like those menopause symptom list. So yes, if you can try and get better, reduce your stress, do self-care, exercise, any bit, you know, and start eating a little healthier, more whole foods, then you'd be on your way of easing your symptoms. And I just want to note, this is a huge long list of things to do. And I don't want someone to look at it and be like, oh, great, now I'm stressed because I have 1,000 new habits I have to adhere to ease my menopause symptoms, because that would be a little counterproductive. We don't want to cause more stress. I think the best way to handle it is to do something, do a habit for a week and make it a small habit, something you know you're gonna do well at. I'm gonna drink 1 extra glass of water today. I'm gonna take a 5-minute longer walk than I did yesterday. I'm gonna walk 3 times this week instead of 2. Anything, any one little step that you think you can accomplish the first week, then the second week, add a second component and so forth. Make it easy and doable. Don't overwhelm yourself at this time. Your body's overwhelmed enough on its own. And I think it's really good to keep a little notebook of your wins. Every day you have a win. It could be something simple like, oh, I got to take a shower today. It's my win. I got to go to bed 15 minutes earlier last night. Win. I've journaled today. And it could be something outside, you know, like outside of your focus. Oh, the dogs didn't bark today, unlike my dogs who have been barking in the background. So you have that book of wins, you look at it, and I want it to boost your confidence and for you to remember that you are fabulous. This is just a phase we're going through, and we're all going to be, we're all going to be going through it, 51% of the population. And that is, that is my survival toolkit. And I hope it helps. Well,
thank you. Yes, no, that's great. I want to open it up for questions since we have live audience, and anyone is welcome to share their experience or any questions or any feedback or anything you want. So you can unmute yourself. You can put it in chat window, however you like.
I think the calendar is a really good thing to do because in order to get to that stage, you have to have the 12 months, and when you're approaching this time, it's never consistent. So you're thinking you're starting to go through it, and then it's not there. So it's funny to have to keep a track of it in this capacity, but it's something that I'm learning is important because you can't say that you're through it, and then also you don't know how valid your symptoms and everything you're going through is, because you're like, am I really going there, or am I just kind of am I too early, or am I there yet?
yes. And I have to say, how many times normally, not menopause related, have I gone to the doctor and the doctor's been asking me, how long has this been? When do you get these symptoms? And I myself am like, I don't even, like now my brain is in a fog because I can't even recall, when this started. So I was thinking about just starting one generally. If I keep having a recurring pain or something, keep one. I don't know what the hesitation is, but for menopause, it's really helpful, and really helpful for a practitioner, because you just go in saying, I have one thing, they're going to be like, oh, I have anxiety. Women at this point, or let me be inclusive, it does not have to be people identifying themselves as a woman. But people at this point could go in and say, I'm having really bad anxiety. I've never had anxiety in my life. And the number of people who are given antidepressants and anti-anxiety meds at this time instead of given HRT is incredible. That is the first line of defense many doctors go here. So
that's why we need the education and awareness.
Yeah.
What all of us are trying to do here, right? HRT is not your first line of defense. It should be, as holistic therapies, like all the things that you pointed out, right? Anything else, Becky, Julie, Cynthia, and any comments, any feedback from you? Your feelings, what you're going through? You're welcome to share. Although this is a live, I must say that this is going on FB Live, so please share only what you want to share.
I just want to interject. At the beginning, I was a little nervous, so it was my first time speaking on a live stream. So I hope I didn't sound too rambling or off topic. So thank you all for.
No. Becky says excellent information. Love the Win Journal suggestions. I think that's what we are trying to do here at Nourish Talk, is to bring this subject out in the open, to talk to as many women. That's why we're bringing experts like yourself and so many other experts from all over the world to really help women learn about holistic therapies as the first line of defense. Honestly. Yes. Rather than going directly to HRT. And I'm not saying HRT is wrong. That's not the intention. The intention is there's so much out there. So please take this time to learn. And we are here to share it with help from Leah and so many other experts. That's all I wanted to say.
And another thing I want to bring up is, if you do even do HRT, it might take a while for it to kick in. Pellets, I think it could take 3 to 6 months. So now you're like in the waiting stage. So if you want to start easy, here's another route to go. Even while you're taking it, this will also help. Sometimes it takes a long time for them to get the combination right if you do HRT. So I not just to exclude HRT, but either way you want to go. If you want to go HRT, these are super helpful. If you avoid HRT, you might be able to. Every woman has a different menopause. Some women don't have it terribly. I get cold flashes instead of hot flashes, which I thought was insane. My OBGYN was trying to tell me, no, you must be sweating and then getting cold. And then I started reading about, researching online. No, cold flashes are menopause symptom. So you can't always, listen to what they say. They start making you doubt yourself. Self-empowerment is very important at this time.
Mm-hmm. Any comments from you, Julie? You have been a bit quiet. Any on the chat or anything before I wrap up the session today? Okay, any last words from you, Leah, or anyone else? This is a quick 10-15 minute session that we bring on a daily basis. So,
well, if you don't mind, I'm just going to plug myself a little. My website is nocoastmenopausecoach.com. I'm on Instagram at nocoastmenopausecoach, as well as Facebook, and LinkedIn. I'm under my name, Leah Berman Israel. So if anybody wants to get in touch, I do have some stuff I could send your way, or to talk, anything.
thank you. No, thank you so much. And we are launching programs based on holistic therapy. So anyone wants to beta test the programs, we'll give it away initially. So please let me know. I will be sending an email out. But like I said, our focus is really on educating women all over the world who are going through perimenopause, menopause, and beyond. There are 3 different stages. Well, menopause is only one day for technically. So that's, people call menopause, but actually it's perimenopause or postmenopause, trying to help women out there take the tools, take the help holistic therapies tool. We didn't even talk about sexual wellness, but I want to bring these kind of topics out in the open that could help, have an impact on our relationships with our partners, right? All those kind of things. We don't talk about it. So please tell me the feedback, give me the feedback to us. That's all I wanted to say. Any other comments from anyone? Please let me know. Otherwise, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for supporting us. Thank you. Bye-bye.